If you like to read about insanity in college football, I would encourage you to go to the Knoxville News Sentinel right now and read their reporting. They did a great job reporting this on Thanksgiving morning, no less. The University of this is according to reporting from the Knoxville News Sentinel as it relates to their ongoing fiasco with Jeremy Pruitt, the former head coach there, and former Georgia defensive coordinator. And everybody around the league basically um, warned Tennessee not to do this. He was Mississippi State's third choice. They passed, and this is what Tennessee. This is the reason why. Here's what the Knoxville News Sentinel says: the University of Tennessee disputed the NCAA's finding that it failed to monitor the football program while recruiting violations were committed under fired coach Jeremy Pruitt. Instead, get a load of this. The university said Jeremy Pruitt, his wife, and his staff knowingly concealed their malfeasance despite Tennessee's best effort to follow NCAA rules in monitoring the football program. That was Tennessee's only major dispute in responding to the NCAA notice of allegations. The Knoxville News Sentinel goes on to report a Chick-fil-A bag of cash and Jeremy Pruitt's babysitter were also new revelations in the case. This is crazy. And this is what happens when you hire someone who is not ready to be a football coach, a head football coach. I mean, it was a disaster waiting to happen, and Tennessee just went full bore into it. If you've forgotten the timeline here, a couple of years ago, Tennessee was so eager to fire Jeremy Pruitt that they essentially were willing to put their head into the guillotine and get NCAA violations. The problem is, the problem, y'all, is that the NCAA, although not as powerful as they once were, can really hammer you if you have level one violations, like serious violations. And the News Sentinel goes on to report that Tennessee had minor disputes with five of the 18 level 1 violations that the NCAA found in its investigation. Otherwise, it generally agreed that rules were broken and that almost 60 G's in cash and gifts were provided to players and their families by Pruitt, his wife, and numerous coaches, recruiting staff, and at least one booster. But Tennessee argued that it was not guilty of the 18th violation, the most egregious against an institution, failure to monitor the football program. Tennessee, all due respect, you're not winning this one. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here, but if you hire Jeremy Pruitt, that is a failure to monitor your football program, just period. This guy had a terrible reputation, and Tennessee went forward with it. I mean, we're talking about the joke was always that it was a bag of cash inside of a McDonald's bag, but as it turns out, it was a Chick-fil-A bag. The News Sentinel goes on to report that the NCAA alleged level one violations, which are the most serious. It's a 4-level system. Level one, level 3 and 4, they just don't matter. Anyway, the News Sentinel says the NCAA alleged that the level one violations were committed by Jeremy and his wife Casey Pruitt, assistant coaches Derek Ansley, Shelton Felton, and Brian Niedermeyer, along with staff members Drew Hughes, Bethany Gunn, Catrice Boone, and an unnamed booster from 2018 to 19. I mean, look, you just can't make this stuff up. I mean, and they're not clearly, it's not being made up. That's the crazy part, is that Tennessee understood what they were getting into with Jeremy Pruitt in 2018. It was the wrong hire. And being around the block as long as I have in the recruiting world, at least, and not in a major way, I knew Jeremy Pruitt was not a good character on that front. You're talking in addition about a guy that, you know, Georgia was going to let go no matter what after the 2015 season. I mean, no matter what, that guy was gone. No matter if they kept Mark Richt or not, I have it on the best authority that that guy was out of there. And two seasons after that, he was the head coach at Tennessee. I mean, 16, 17, he was at Alabama, I guess, rehabilitating his image. And now, 4 years after being the Tennessee coach in 18, I'm dumbfounded. I think the one person that if Kirby Smart came to Jerry Moorhead and said, "I really need this guy," it's Jeremy Pruitt. That would be the one guy that Jerry Moorhead would be like, "Nope, nope, we're not doing that." And it would be with good reason because if you cannot, um, if you cannot be disciplined enough as a coach to not have 18 level one violations thrown at you, you're not going to be disciplined enough to not do dumb stuff when it comes to the rules today. And there are still rules. I mean, y'all know we did an NIL deal with Kelee Ringo. That went through the proper channels. That everything was, there was no nut job stuff there. It was just what it was. But apparently, I just Tennessee is going to get what it deserves here. And I don't know how bad this is going to be. It's not going to be like they can't play. It's not going to be like they can't do postseason, no TV. That's not what it's going to be. It's going to be that they get recruiting stuff cut. And if this is a institutional problem, that's not just the football program. That's everything. Now, this is not like it used to be. If this were in the early 90s, certainly in the 80s, Tennessee would be in real trouble. I mean, they would get Clemsoned. Like, what I mean by that is you're not playing on television, Auburn, these teams that were really bad in the 80s. That's not going to happen to Tennessee because, the SEC is too powerful. It matters too much to Disney. It's just not going to happen. The NCAA has power. They just don't have it the way they once did. All that said, Tennessee is essentially given the NCAA any excuse to hammer them. And I think step one here was that you hired someone that was not capable of being a head coach, not in the SEC. And because of that, we're seeing the ramifications from that. I would not want the guy around my program at all. He's not a very good defensive coordinator. At least he wasn't at Georgia. I would not want him anywhere around my program. And that's why he's with the Jets. Maybe that's a better fit for him. Maybe that's where he should be. Maybe it's a situation where, Jeremy does not need to be a head coach or does not need to be in college. But for Tennessee, there's really no excuse here. They have bungled this from the start. The athletic director was Philip Fulmer. He had no business being the athletic director. The president of the institution couldn't keep her mouth shut. I feel like it was a woman at the time. I think it might still be the same woman. But I'm watching this NFL game, which has been bonkers with the Lions trying to kick it and go into overtime here. There's particular ways to handle things. And Tennessee wanted to have its cake and eat it too. But you can't push the guy out because of NCAA violations. And then when the NCAA comes, there's no ramifications from it. Something's going to happen here. I don't know that it's serious. It really looks bad on Tennessee, I have to say. But I don't know if that matters anymore. I don't know if the way that people look, I'm not sure if that matters. Nothing looks as bad as getting your brain kicked in by South Carolina the way they did the other night. But this will lead towards more problems in the future if you don't have, the full boat of 25 or 30, whatever the number is now in recruiting, or they limit this or they limit that, or you do something in another sport and then they really bring the hammer on you. This has not been handled well on a lot of levels, and it started with hiring Jeremy Pruitt.